What's up, folks? Stu Myrick, Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, The Horn. Sorry, a couple minutes late. I would blame it on technical issues or trying to get a big scoop, but no, really, I was just making iced tea. So, and I thought it would be done, but it's done. So we have iced tea, because that's kind of what I live on. Actually, I probably drink it a little too much, but hey, I do get some liquids in me at least. So, hope everybody is doing well. Let's see. Things are good here. Gorgeous day in Austin. Should be a fun show, a full show, and that's once again we have an interview that's already in the can, ready to go. I got a chance to reconnect with a good friend of mine who gives you the ups and downs of everything that's in wrestling and tells you why it's happening. The master of that from What Culture Wrestling, Simon Miller. He and I caught up with each other earlier today. So the video is actually already on our YouTube channel. So after you get done watching us here, go back and you can watch Simon Miller and I chop it up. So that's on, and of course it'll be included in the podcast. This podcast only week, as you can figure out. We're doing this on Thursday night. Last night it was Texas baseball who got the win, so congratulations to the Longhorns. And so between that and Justin actually being on the road, I actually got to see him too on TV. It was on, well, I say on TV, on ESPN Plus, excuse me. He was doing Southland Conference basketball. And so he was calling the game between Abilene Christian and Stephen F. Austin last night on ESPN Plus. Kind of cool to see him do that. I know he does a fantastic job. He's a really good play-by-play guy, and he's just waiting for that big break. But hey, he's getting on ESPN Plus at least. So give me 10 seconds. Hold on. There we go. Took a few seconds longer, but forgot the iPad. Kind of need that. Got to have the soundboard going. So, Justin's on his way, by the way. So we'll wait patiently. But yeah, tonight, and because it's Sunday, we get to actually talk about AEW Dynamite, which, talk about a packed show that was last night. They had everything going, and besides being the go home show for Revolution this Sunday, I mean, it was just non-stop. So it'll be fun to talk about that, some of the little nuances. Tully Blanchard wrestling. Never mind Shaquille O'Neal. But he wrestled Tully Blanchard at the age of 67. That was really cool. Sting showing some of his old self, putting the Scorpion Deathlock on Ricky Starks, which I had to smile because of Ricky, not just because I'm a big Sting fan. But yeah, we'll preview Revolution. We'll talk some WWE. Bobby Lashley, the new WWE champion. I think that was really cool to see. I didn't like the way they booked it, but whatever. It's kind of one of those things that they got to the end, so I'll give them credit. So, but a few other things. Eli Drake, now known as LA Knight, makes his first official appearance at the Capitol Wrestling Center for NXT. So that was kind of cool. And then we'll touch on some New Japan, even a little NWA. they have emerged, and they've made a big announcement, and we'll talk about it later in the show. But all in all, I mean, it has been a fun week. Now, I say fun. We have lost two. Well, we lost one person last week, Joseph Hudson, better known as Josephus, and the question mark in the NWA, who passed away last week. And then it was yesterday that Jim Crockett Jr. passed away at the age of 76. The former head of Jim Crockett Promotions, former president of the National Wrestling Alliance. He was the one that made, TBS at 6:05 p.m. Eastern destination viewing for wrestling fans. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. In fact, Simon Miller and I talked about that, and you'll hear that in the first segment of the podcast. So, but podcast will show up late tonight, and you can get it through either hornfm.com or your favorite podcast provider. Make sure you rate us, review us, all that good stuff. So, all in all, those, it's been a good week. A little bit of sports happening. You've got college basketball is getting close to conference tournaments. So we'll see what Texas does. They are, as I told a buddy of mine in Florida, they are clinging. They are hanging by a thread to a 4 seed. We'll see what happens. I hate to say it, and I bleed burnt orange, but I'm not holding my breath to see what they do in a tournament. Earlier this week, had a chance in a wonderful bit of normalcy to go out and cover something. In this case, went out to Circuit of the Americas for NASCAR. First time ever, as Justin Simmons comes to the door. But, yeah, covering NASCAR Goodyear Tire Test. You had three of the best drivers in NASCAR in the Cup Series, including the current Cup champion, Chase Elliott, taking their cars around the 3.4-mile circuit, testing the tires to see what tires Goodyear will make for the Echo Park Texas Grand Prix coming in May. As Justin Simmons joins me, I know you know how to put on headphones. You got a lot of hair there, dude. You got that flowing mane going. I mean,
you can keep yours. You don't have to cut it. I did
have to cut it. It was getting thick.
No, I think if you would have kept some, you probably wouldn't have gotten sunburn on the top today.
Well, no, that was on Monday. I was just talking. We were out at Circuit of the Americas. Rodney Rodriguez from Revved Up ATX and I.
Oh, I thought that was
it wasn't Monday. It was Tuesday.
Yeah,
Tuesday. The week melds over. How are you, man?
Tired.
I bet.
Yeah.
All the way up in Nacogdoches. I did catch a little bit of the game last night. You sounded great.
Thanks.
Lot of fun. Of course, kept thinking of Wendy Hastings, the lovely wife of Chad Hastings, because she's a lumberjack.
Yeah.
But that drive to Nacogdoches, believe me, I know it very well. I know how tiring it can be. Just doing a weekend visit. I can't imagine what you had to go through. So, but you did good.
Oh, thanks.
Who was the guy that was doing color for you?
Oh, Andrew Stossmeister.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we've worked before together doing like football, other sports, but need somebody last minute. So
yeah,
I don't think he's gonna watch this, but shout out to Andrew for stepping up in the last minute.
No, you guys sounded good. You guys sounded good. I caught a little bit. I caught the about the last couple minutes of the first half, and then
I didn't know what to do with the ending. I didn't know what to do with the ending.
I didn't see the ending.
It was the last second ending, and the guy put it up like somebody just threw it up. Somebody snatched it and kind of just put it up in the air off of the glass.
Yeah.
And that won the game with like 0.4 seconds, and then the clock ran out.
Nice.
But I'm like, I couldn't call it a win because the officials didn't call it a win. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to make it sound like a win. They could easily say, no, it wasn't. They could have ruled it a shot, and they could have ruled it goaltending or something.
Right.
So that was like a first. Like, I didn't know how to handle that one. It's like, oh, I've called buzzer beaters, but that I'm just like, well, it's not official.
Right. Plus, you're doing it for the conference, not necessarily just for SFA or for Abilene Christian. It's not like Craig Way say good night to this one or whatever, in the myriad of sayings he has for all the Longhorn sports.
I mean, I wanted to take it up a notch for whoever won, but it's all like, well, I don't know if anybody won yet.
Right.
So I couldn't say anything.
Right.
Anything big.
I get you. So, I was just telling the YouTube folks, it's been a fun week so far. It's weird because we're doing this on Thursday instead of Tuesdays, but in a way,
we're moving too, huh?
It had just this week, only because of baseball. They've had to do so. Texas has had to move some stuff around because of COVID, because of the winter storm that happened a couple weeks ago, and we're in baseball season now. So, a couple things here and there. They had to move some of the other primetime shows. Flex ATX is now on Thursdays. I think Fight Night's airing tonight.
Interesting.
After
a little Thursday night takeover. Huh?
It's after baseball. I think baseball's tonight, or is it basketball? I can't remember.
No, it's basketball.
Basketball. That's right. It's Texas OU at Lloyd Noble. And then Fight Night's going to air after that. The kicker was we didn't know how late the game was going to go, so it made no sense for us to, plan a radio show to be heard at like 1 a.m.
Well, we what about if we caught that effervescent, late night crowd? Maybe those are the guys that are really into us, and we don't even know it yet.
Yeah, I still like 8, 9 o'clock. Plus there was a whole automation thing. It's with what we have at the Horn. So, but anyway, I was just telling them, had a great chat with Simon Miller from What Culture.
Nice.
And it was good to catch up with him. And we had a nice little chat. And that video is already up on YouTube. So, as I said, after this, go check it out.
So you're basically like becoming the Conrad Thompson of...
No, I am nowhere near Conrad Thompson.
Getting the interviews with the other people that cover the sport as well.
I'm
serious. You talk to everybody that covers this sport. It's pretty cool.
The only thing I have in common with Conrad Thompson, and I will gladly be compared to Conrad anytime. I think he's
a beard.
He's a fantastic man. Besides beard, the only other thing is that MJF has called us both turkey tits. So
it's a short list, I suppose.
So but hey, anytime any list I could be on with Conrad Thompson, I'll take it. Conrad's a good dude. We need to get him on.
He has come on the show before.
He has. We had him on. A couple years ago when we were promoting our appearance at StarCast, and we've had him on a couple times since then. So.
How long was StarCast? One.
That was I can look back. Hold on, 2.5 years ago, because it was September of 2018.
Like I'm going for a Ric Flair, but that looks more like a Ricky Morton, doesn't it?
Which one?
This one right here.
It looks like you put a wig on an egg.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm still thinking Ricky Morton though.
Oh man, so
I mean, it was Flair's birthday. This past week?
It was.
So that's what I was trying to get to here.
72.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. He's lived 72 lifetimes, if that's the case.
He's getting into that category with Keith Richards. He'll survive the nuclear holocaust with cockroaches.
You will hope. You can only hope.
You'll be the cockroaches, Keith Richards, and Ric Flair.
I mean, that legend list year after year grows thinner and thinner.
Yeah, it does. It sure does. So,
as well as this week. Yes,
yeah, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. So, anyway, let's get going. We'll kick it off mid show because first segment will be the Simon Miller interview. So. Let's do this thing.
Hey, this is Jeff Cobb, and you're...
This is James J. Dillon, the leader of the original Four Horsemen and the holder of 2 Hall of Fame rings, and you're listening to the Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling podcast only this week and YouTube. Stu Myrick, Justin the Smash Simmons back from Nacogdoches.
Thanks, man.
Calling some Southland Conference basketball.
That's where all the professional wrestling training pays off. It's not like the in-ring work. It's just like knowing how to travel. To be honest, it's just like, it's going to be brutal. You just got to know how to deal with it.
Especially knowing that drive, because, I'm from that area. I know that drive all too well. I know how tiring that can be just to go up for like a weekend.
Yeah, because they're always looking to get you on the roadways because they have those ever-changing speed limit signs. And you're just like, seriously? I was I swear, it was just like 5 miles faster right back there.
Yeah, they do. Before we get into Dynamite, we got to pay our respects. Jim Crockett Jr. Passed away yesterday at the age of 76. Of course, the owner of Jim Crockett Promotions, who he inherited from his father, responsible for making 6:05 p.m. Eastern on TBS destination viewing for so long. Practically ran the NWA for a long time.
Yeah, he was NWA president like 3 times.
He was, and that was where you got to see Flair and the Horsemen and Sting and Dusty and Nikita Koloff and so many legends. The Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express,
Magnum TA.
You
could see Roddy.
Even Roddy Piper. It was just, you think about the impact that he had on wrestling, with especially things like Starrcade. Things like the Great American Bash. We know Dusty created those, but Jim Crockett Jr. was the promoter. He was the one that put them on. And that's why we had, a flair for the gold when Flair beat Harley Race, and Starrcade 85, Magnum TA, and Tully Blanchard in the I Quit match.
Well, that's what I was going to say I felt was his most important contribution to the business, was giving us Ric Flair as is, because if you're not a wrestling historian, you might not know that Ric Flair wasn't always woo and popular.
Right.
He wasn't the other members of the NWA's board of directors pick to be the champion. Not all the fans liked him, so he wasn't the most popular guy to go over Harley. Even Harley Race at that time didn't feel like that was the right move.
Right.
So for him to have that belief in Ric Flair and seeing the talent that he was going to possess to be what he became later on, that's just speaks to his volumes for the business, even though he didn't want to get in the business originally, that he still had this natural feel for how to promote new talent when he saw it, and was able to integrate where his dad left off and take it up another level to a nationally syndicated show.
That's right. You're absolutely right. It was, as I said, just so many moments through those years until he finally sold to Ted Turner and it became WCW. But up until then, I mean, some of the greatest moments in NWA history happened under the watch of Jim Crockett Jr. You didn't see him on screen very much, and when you did, he was the textbook, straight down the line, but you knew he was for the good guy authority figure. He was never an evil authority figure like what we see with WWE. He was the head of Jim Crockett Promotions. He was the head of the NWA. He made a ruling. He even made rulings that went for the heel, but it was fair. And he would explain, look, I hate to do this, but and go from there.
Top rope, it's top rope, right?
It's so thoughts and prayers to the family and the friends of Jim Crockett Jr. His legacy will live on forever. And we saw a big part of that last night on AEW Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
Tully Blanchard, at the ripe young age of 67, getting in the ring with FTR as his partners, his original robe, walking out with the 10 pounds of silver
Oh, you mean the one that Conrad owns?
The NWA United States Heavyweight Championship.
On loan from the Conrad Thompson Museum?
It's still.
I'm sorry, I still
that
think
belt.
that part's funny, but it's cool to see.
But see that belt that hasn't been seen outside of StarCast or some other conventions, and then seeing FTR with the old school NWA World Tag Team titles. I mean, that was just and J.J. Dillon, being escorted out by James J. Dillon. It was Tully Blanchard Enterprises reunited, and and they were trying to figure out like if Mr. Crockett had passed away prior to that or after that or whatever the case was, that had to be a tribute to him. It was just it made you not want to boo FTR, and they were the heels in the match against Jurassic Express. But I tell you what, it was just it did my 14-year-old heart a lot of good.
You need to kind of see an old school heel finish, didn't you?
Got to see JJ pass the shoe, and
it just calls back to those simpler times of the style of professional wrestling in the Mid-Atlantic under the JCP banner that Jim Crockett Jr. put together during the 70s and 80s. Yeah,
it was. Between that and seeing Sting lock Ricky Starks up in the Scorpion Death Lock, I mean, I was
like, I'm thrilled for Ricky.
I was watching TBS again. I was watching World Championship Wrestling. Yeah, and my heart was good for Ricky. Seeing him at AEW a few weeks ago and telling him, "You be careful with Sting," and he laughed it off. But I joke. I loved seeing that. It was just so good. It really was. What did you think of Shaquille O'Neal and his ring skills?
If you go through a table, is that really skill?
Well, no, I'm not talking about going through the table. I'm talking about just what he did in the ring.
Oh, okay. I was like, the big part was the tables. That's what everybody was talking about.
That was a huge part of it.
I'm not too shocked. I mean, this is a guy that's been in the ring before.
Yes.
Under the WWE banner, who coincidentally has also worked Big Show, or I'm sorry, what's his name, Paul, right?
Paul White.
Something about
and
BS.
A lot of people were really thinking that because they were talking about Cody having a shoulder injury.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people were trying to put two and two together and say Paul White was going to sub in for Cody, but didn't happen. Instead, Cody does the crossbody on Shaq, and they fall through the two tables sitting ringside.
Shaq's okay, but he's no Karl Malone, and I'm not a big Karl Malone fan, but he's probably been the best basketball player that's gone into pro wrestling.
He did a damn good diamond cutter back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, like, Dennis Rodman was good because he was physical and athletic,
right.
But it looked like Karl Malone took it a little more seriously.
I think Shaq took it seriously. Now, did you catch the Brody Lee tribute that he did? So he had Cody in position to do a powerbomb, and he did the motion that Brody would do. That was really neat. That was really sweet. So no, we're not going to see him do, topes in 450s off the top, but he did fine for what he was supposed to do.
Exactly.
I think he definitely surpassed a lot of people's expectations. They were probably low, and I totally get that. Mine were probably a little low. Well, I think he did fine. Plus, the match properly put the spotlight on Red Velvet and Jade Cargill.
Oh, well, definitely. I understand what the whole point was just to get eyes to new audience, possibly to the product, to these people that are working, and hope that their in-ring skill was going to be enough to keep you around to come back for the rest of the night and to return for the following weeks.
Right. Well, not to mention, that, and then also whet your appetite for. Now, that match had nothing to do with what's going to happen Sunday at Revolution, but still, with everything else surrounding it, it was really good. We mentioned Sting. I am not nearly as afraid as I was when he first took that powerbomb from Brian Cage. I think Sting will be able to handle himself on Sunday and going forward.
The question is just like, how is it going to look? That's the only thing I can think of right now is just how rusty is he? Is he feeling good, or is he trying to like power through this type of deal? But we'll see how it goes.
We will. Absolutely. Let's talk about Revolution. AEW Revolution this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. If you're in the United States, you can see it on BR Live. If you're outside the United States, you can watch it on Fight TV. They've got a packed card, starting with the pre-show. Thunder Rosa and Riho taking on Dr. Britt Baker and Reba, a.k.a. Rebel. My guess is it's going to be Britt and Reba, especially with the NWA, and we'll talk about the NWA here in a little while. NWA possibly coming back. Thunder Rosa is still under contract with the NWA.
Well, at least they brought back Dawkins.
Yes, and they'll bring back Dawkins. Again, we'll talk about that later. I'm going with Britt and Reba on that one.
Yeah, I mean, that only makes the most sense.
So
that's why I was like, you kind of looked at me like I should be more excited about this match. And I'm like, why?
Well, it's a pre-show. I know. All right.
You know how I feel about those KFC, Mountain Dew, Domino's got to be Snickers pre-shows, Shout out to those boys from
That's right.
Old School Wrestling Review. They just get it right. They're so fun.
In a casino tag team battle royal. So the tag teams that I think we know are involved. Top Flight, Private Party, Butcher and the Blade, Santana Ortiz from Inner Circle, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson from Dark Order, John Silver and Alex Reynolds from Dark Order, Pac and Ray Phoenix, Bear Country, Varsity Blondes, Chaos Project, Matt and Mike Seidel, SCU, and the Natural Nightmares.
Has there always been another Seidel brother, like in real life?
Apparently there has, but I didn't know him until we started seeing him on AEW Dark.
Yeah, I was going to say no offense. I've just never.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm surprised he was able to fly under the radar like that for so long.
No
pun intended.
No, I am too. I agree, especially with the skills that his brother Matt has.
Is there anything more to this match?
If I'm not mistaken, winner does get a tag team title shot.
Okay.
My first instinct is Santana Ortiz.
Really?
But in order for that to happen, I think that would mean that Jericho and MJF win the tag titles. And I know I'm skipping ahead, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. I'm going to go with it's a hard one.
Yeah, it's not an easy one to pick just because.
I'm going to go with, just for the heck of it, I'm feeling a little hungry. Let's go Silver and Reynolds on this one.
Wow. I want to go Varsity Blondes.
That's a good one. I like the Varsity Blondes. I wish they would get showcased more.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if this is going to be that opportunity, at least this might be a chance for them to really kind of get a breakout performance. Because that tag team division does need to build up a little bit, just like on the consistency where I see a little bit more because I just need a little bit more. That's all I'm saying.
I get you. I mean, it's not the fact that they don't have tag teams.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of them we don't see
exactly
on Dynamite.
Yes.
We'll see them on Dark, but don't see them on Dynamite.
But see, it's hard for somebody like myself, and I imagine other viewers that don't necessarily try to tune into every single thing. So if you do catch a part of the main show, you're expecting to see your best talent on the main show.
Right. And that's, again, we've had this discussion before about, having stuff on your YouTube channel that ties into Dynamite without calling back to it a little bit. So, Miro and Kip Sabian taking on Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. Miro says we are going to see what everybody is wanting to see out of him. The Bulgarian brute to take from his WWE run. For that reason alone, I'm going Miro and Kip.
Well, it just makes sense. He needs to have a push after entering the company, and then the Best Friends, they kind of had their run with the minivan and such.
Right.
And then the momentum.
Plus, Trent's not there because he's injured.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that momentum comes down. Cassidy's always going to get his pop. And if they want to book him back up again, they will. So it won't hurt for them to take a loss, but you still do need to get Miro over because people were starting to say like, "Hey, you're putting him in the same situation that he was in before."
Yeah, it's not. He's not even the Brute. He's not the Rusev that we remember. It's just he's just there as a video gamer. So I'm with you. I think Miro and Kip will probably come out with this, and there may be some shenanigans, but that's why they're heels. In a big money match, the winner gets this has got to be one of the most convoluted stipulations. The winner gets the loser's Q1 2021 earnings.
Nice. I understand that completely.
I know you do, and I understand it too. It's just I'm not sure I've ever heard that as a stipulation in a match before.
It's almost kind of nice. It's like, hey, I'm not going to take your full paycheck for the year, but I'm going to take like the first quarter of it.
Yeah, especially with the action figures and all that. Big money Matt Hardy taking on Hangman Adam Page.
Guy just keeps on reinventing himself, doesn't he? It's amazing.
Well, Big Money Matt we saw in TNA.
I know, but he brings it back.
He's got all these different characters.
Him, Jericho, they're all like Madonna. They just keep on morphing into different things.
I'm not sure. I don't know if Matt Hardy's ever been compared to Madonna, but I see what you're saying. I get that.
Yeah, you can recall like almost every aspect of her career based on how she presented herself and what she was wearing.
Yes.
It's the same thing with Hardy and with Jericho. They're both great at that.
Yeah. I'm going Hangman on this one. I think there's more of a story to tell with Hangman winning than there would be with Hardy.
I mean, that would make the most logical sense, especially since I think he needs to kind of be pushed back up to where he was when they kind of started off, because I know the fan base has always been strong behind him.
Talk about Hangman.
Yeah.
And
then he kind of got into that whole tag team thing, and that kind of like, okay, that gave him a spot to sit in, but now he needs that push again towards the upper echelon of the card.
Well, and assuming Kenny Omega keeps the world title, you got to imagine eventually sometime this year Hangman will get a title shot,
because that'd be cool to see.
And that might be where the reign ends. So I know, again, jumping ahead. In a Face of the Revolution ladder match, the winner gets a shot at the TNT Championship. Penta El Zero Miedo, I always get that one tongue-tied, versus Cody Rhodes, versus Scorpio Sky, versus Lance Archer, versus Max Caster from The Acclaimed, versus a Mystery Man.
Is it you?
It is not me.
If Blanchard got in the
ring,
ring,
it you?
No, not me. Sadly.
Simon Miller told me it's not him.
Okay.
What I have heard is that it will be somebody making their debut on AEW. And I don't know if that ties into Paul White's scoop, which we'll talk about in a second. I'm leaning Scorpio Sky only because of what we saw last night. Sky was on commentary during the match between Max Caster and who did he wrestle?
I was going to say, you don't have to have them all.
Yeah,
man.
but anyway, he was on commentary, and you could detect a little heel in his demeanor, or at least a little cocky.
No,
and I've got a feeling maybe they're going to tell that story. So I'm going to go Sky.
That's where I was just leaning, because he had that one really good match a few months ago, and that really got people behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So they really didn't do much with him after that, and I think this is a time to kind of pick up where they left off with him,
right,
and give him a meaningful title, because he's been one of those guys that's been in the business for so long.
Yes.
And really paid his dues. This would be a really good way to celebrate that and give him a real chance to run with the ball and see what he can do with the ball, because nobody's really given him that opportunity before.
Well, and truly separate him from SCU, because a lot of AEW fans still consider him part of SCU. So, in a street fight, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks taking on the TNT champion Darby Allin and Sting. They're not going to have Sting lose in his first match in AEW. And they're not going to do what WWE did at WrestleMania 31. I'm going Darby and Sting on this one.
I don't see them winning.
You're thinking it's going to be Cage and Starks?
Yeah.
You think Team Taz?
Yeah, and it's going to be by at least underhanded tactics or something. But I just
and Darby will probably, if they do lose, Darby eats the pin, I think, because then they can set up a TNT title story with whoever pins.
But it looks better if one of those guys pins Sting, because Sting has
They're
nothing.
not going to have Sting take a pin.
I mean, it just
they're not going to do it because if for no other reason than how much grief WWE got for having him take the pin to Triple H.
Yeah, but everybody understood that was Triple H, and he goes over everybody. So nobody wanted to see that.
Understood, sure, but it was still stupid.
Yeah, but this is giving you a chance for a guy like Ricky Starks to possibly pin a legend that could really help his career.
Or you can pin the champion and get a shot at the title.
I think if you win the match, you deserve to have a shot at the title anyways. And I think that's what Team Taz is going to say to one of these guys regardless.
No, because the story's always if you pin the champion, even in a tag match, you pin the champion.
But why does
it's easier to tell the story with that than he pinned Sting, therefore he deserves a shot at Darby.
I think Sting's bigger than the title.
That's why I'm saying he won't get the pin. He won't eat a pin. If Sting and Darby lose, it'll be Darby getting pinned by either Bryan or
And that's
Ricky.
why we're having this discussion, because we simply don't agree on that.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
For the AEW Women's World Title, Hikaru Shida taking on Ryo Mizunami, who won the Eliminator tournament.
What do they call her? Japanese charisma machine or something like that, right?
I think something like that, yeah.
Yeah, she was great.
Did you see? So she wins. She beats Nyla Rose to win the tournament. Shida goes in the ring, hands her the trophy, shakes her hand, and they start pounding each other.
Yeah, no,
and then of course it's probably been a rivalry, and you forgive me, I'm not well versed on women's wrestling in Japan, but I'm sure there's a Joshi wrestling. I'm sure there is a rivalry, in the past. So
I'm sure there's something that played into it, but either way, it was a good performance, especially a good performance for Nyla Rose. She didn't look like she was being carried last night.
Right. Yeah. I'm still going Shida because I think this is it's a cool moment. I'm not sure they're going to keep Mizunami in country.
That's true.
So that's why I'm going Shida.
Which makes the most sense.
Yeah. For the AEW World Tag Team titles, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, taking on Chris Jericho and MJF. I don't really know which way they're going to go with this. I'm leaning Bucks just because I think there might be a little more juice there with, other tag teams. And I may just be spitballing here. I'm just going Bucks just because I don't like MJF. I'm just kidding. I like
understand.
MJF. I think I'm going to lean Bucks, but it wouldn't surprise me either way.
Yeah, I'll go in the opposite direction because I can just see them winning it. And then that furthers like the whole Inner Circle storyline type deal thing.
I did hear a theory today. Jericho and MJF lose because Sammy Guevara comes back and costs them the title.
Which is also possible.
So, which could happen. Sammy was supposed to go off. He went off.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to show up in Impact, and apparently there was something that happened, and I'm not going to go through all that because it's all rumor and innuendo.
Gotcha.
But basically, he's not in Impact. So that's why I'm thinking he's been gone. They'll bring him back. And there you go. And then we set up the implosion of the Inner Circle. So, and then the main event in an exploding barbed wire death match. Kenny Omega defends the AEW World Title against Jon Moxley. How much did you love the video package they showed last night, complete with Onita of all people?
Exactly.
That was just chef's kiss good.
Yeah, I mean, this is not my cup of tea, but I am familiar with Onita's work just as a person that watches professional wrestling and just understands all the aspects of the sport. and understand that there is a market for this. So I thought that the video package did exactly what it needed to do. It was short and sweet.
Yes.
I don't think you can really build it up any more than they have built it up over what feels like a whole month at this point. You really have gone, no pun intended, all in on the main event. So now you're just going to let the players play.
Yes.
Essentially. And you have two of the best in the world.
Yes.
One that's been the big bout machine for like the last 3 years that didn't have to perform at that high level, last year?
Right.
And then you have Jon Moxley, who has been a critical, not a critical, but like a critical and a fan's favorite.
Yes. He's Wrestler of the Year by both PWI and Wrestling Observer. So.
Exactly. So, I mean, like, you have like the two most popular guys for the fans of professional wrestling that are going to go through this extremely brutal match. I'm going to say it ends in a draw.
Interesting. I've heard that. I'm on Lean Omega just because I think he keeps the title. He would keep the title in a draw.
He would keep the title in the draw.
I think we could see, and I've been familiarizing myself with the barbed wire death matches from FMW, especially involving Onita, and they've got the countdown clock, and when that countdown clock hits 0, the whole ring explodes. I got a feeling that might happen. I'm going to go ahead and lean Omega. I'm going to put you down as a draw.
I really do see like the draw being the most effective way to tell this story because you can keep it going after that. It's like, wow, they went through the most brutal match and that's still going to end it. What's next? And then that might give them a chance to come up with something uniquely AEW.
That's right.
I'm interested to see who else besides the hardcore AEW fan, the hardcore GCW fan, the hardcore, bar wrestling style.
Yes.
The no ring style fans will enjoy this match. How much will the casual fan that has just start watching AEW, will they be into this after watching Shaq last night? You might have a few more eyes on the product.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'll be interested in that. I was in on the media call with Cody Rhodes. By the way, that is up on hornfm.com and as a podcast. And when Cody was talking about this match, he started referencing other guys. He mentioned Matt Tremont, who we've seen at Inspire, we've seen other places, one of the best at the death match. Of course, we know.
I was going to say it's the specialty. So
yeah. We know several guys that can definitely do Masada.
I was going to say Masada, Nick Gage.
Yeah, all those guys.
Even Alley Cat. She's probably one of the most hardcore women that I know. Jeez.
By the way, if you do not want to watch it at home, fans can watch it at select Cinemark theaters. Go to Cinemark.com. Tickets are $20, and that includes, if you're here in Austin, that includes the Cinemark 20 just off 35 in Pflugerville.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say it wouldn't necessarily be in Austin, but it would be like Round Rock, Pflugerville.
Yeah, but that's a cool thing. Before we end this, you heard Paul White on Dynamite last night. He said he is going to introduce a Hall of Fame worthy talent that is going to sign a multi-year deal with AEW. Tony Khan confirmed this on this week's AEW Unrestricted podcast. So I ask you, who is the Hall of Fame worthy talent?
It's funny. I had no clue, no idea, not even a name until you started reading that question, and I came up with Mick Foley.
Interesting.
It's not far from home for him.
It's not the name I would have not. It's not a name I would have thought.
But he's already worked in all the other promotions before.
And I'm pretty sure he's not under a Legends deal with WWE. So that's possible. I've seen Christian. I've seen who else? Rob Van Dam.
Okay, that would be interesting. But I really think Mick Foley would probably make the most sense here.
That'd be a good one. That would be a good
one.
But
I mean,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that would be the blockbuster, though. I don't know. I mean, because it made it sound like someone that's in ring. I've heard Kurt Angle.
Yeah, but even then, it's still kind of it's tough. No offense, it's tough to even say those guys for me to get excited because I'm like, well, I'm not sure what you're looking for with this.
I don't, and I have no idea.
Like, I'm not sure what they're going for here. Like,
it's not going to be CM Punk. We know that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Brock Lesnar. It's not going to be John Cena. It's not going to be The Rock.
No. So the main question just is it going to be somebody that's going to disappoint, or is it going to be somebody that really kind of holds up to the expectations of the fans?
I don't think it will be someone that disappoints on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a swerve. Now, it could be a name that some people are absolutely thrilled about, and some people may go, "Oh, okay, that's nice."
Because I like when you're asking that question, I'm like, you're asking who's coming in. I'm like, well, I'm not sure if it's going to be in ring or out of ring talent, and no offense to them, but so far they've been bringing a lot of people that aren't necessarily competing on a weekly basis.
True.
So I just assumed that it was going to be another guy like that.
And there's not a lot of free agent active talent out there right now.
Not that I can really
not that
name.
would make not definitely nobody that's Hall of Fame worthy yet.
Yeah, like that's an in-ring competitor.
Yeah.
I can't say that is somebody that can just instantly be like, oh, that's who
Right.
you got.
Tony Khan has promised some surprises in the coming months.
I mean,
We'll see.
I trust him. You know,
I'll trust him over Vince. I'll trust him over Vince. We're going to take a quick time out. Speaking of Vince, when we do, we will turn our attention to WWE. How many Randy Ortons does it take to have a Monday Night Raw? We'll talk about that and more coming up next on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Yeah, I don't know who it's going to be. I've heard 3 or 4 names that go, okay, that could be cool. And again, I think it's a matter. As far as excitement, it depends on the viewer. You and I, it would take a lot, I think. It would take a John Cena or Rock. That's not going to happen. I heard somebody say Brock Lesnar. That's not going to happen.
no.
Because whatever Tony Khan offers him, Vince is going to offer him double.
Easily.
So,
And
Brock doesn't want to work. He wants to come in and out like he does, do his 3 or 4 matches. I don't think Tony Khan wants that.
I mean, regardless, I'm pretty sure they want somebody that's going to help draw viewership. But I don't know who would be an X name that would be Hall of Fame worthy. I mean, does it have to be the WWE Hall of Fame?
He just said Hall of Fame worthy, which that also tied into, okay, maybe it's not a wrestling Hall of Fame. Maybe it's some other Hall of Fame.
That's true. I guess it could be another athlete.
There was talk, Cody Rhodes, during his call, made a joke about Pat McAfee calling him every other day for a job. Now, look, Pat McAfee, he was a fine kicker in the NFL. Kickers don't usually get in the Hall of Fame unless they're like, unless it's somebody really special. And Pat McAfee is not that special.
No, but he's always really liked professional wrestling, and obviously we've seen that he can go. So, I mean, he's a real popular personality as well. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad get for them, I don't think.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that would definitely be a letdown. Pat McAfee.
I mean, maybe just for you, maybe just for me, but I don't know if it's going to be necessarily. I mean, they had Barstool Sports on last night. So maybe for that crowd, he kind of speaks to that crowd too a little. So I can imagine that they might be excited.
But again, that's not a. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to. And that's the beauty of it. We don't know what to expect.
You think we're going to see Lawrence Taylor?
Well, no, that would be really hard since Lawrence Taylor's no longer with us, right? Didn't he pass away? I hope I'm not pulling Chad Hastings. Maybe he is still alive. I don't know.
I don't know. It really doesn't matter if you are, if you're not, right? It's like, when was the last time you ever talked about Lawrence Taylor?
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure I would have heard if he passed away.
It would have been when I was talking to Beasley Reese.
No, he's alive.
He is alive. He is still alive.
Yeah, still alive.
So
I was like, I'm pretty sure we would have heard if he passed away.
Yeah. And, of course, LT is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So
yeah, but he's one of the few people that's in the Hall of Fame that's
yeah,
been in a wrestling ring.
I think we're reaching
Well,
there,
what? It could be him. It could be Dennis Rodman. I mean, like, all those people
I pray to God
are Hall of Fame talent.
Well, okay. First of all, I pray that it's a wrestling Hall of Fame worthy, whether WWE, PWHF, whatever. Cauliflower Alley. I hope they're not talking about a football, basketball, baseball, whatever.
Now, does Rick?
I don't think AEW would do that. I could be wrong.
Now, does Rick? Well, I mean, they just had Shaq on this week. Now, can it possibly be Ric Flair, since he's not in the storyline?
Flair's under contract with WWE.
But for how long?
Unless I'm mistaken, it's doesn't expire anytime soon.
Okay. How about one of the Briscoes?
Like Gerald?
Yeah.
I
was like, again, another guy that makes sense in that area.
Yeah, but do they need another legend
I don't know.
to do backstage stuff and be a manager?
It's tough for me to try to book AEW because they're just trying to do their own thing. And
I
really
think it's
that.
going to be. I think it's going to be an active in-ring competitor.
But then it goes back to like who's
Yeah.
Hall of
I
Fame
know.
worthy. That's going to be. I almost feel like they kind of booked themselves into a corner with that one, where it's like, okay, so who do you got that's really going to pop this crowd?
And that's where you wonder why Paul White said what he said, and you wonder, if like Tony cringed or whatever. Again, we'll see on Sunday.
I mean, it could be Ricky Steamboat for all I know.
It could be Paul White. Maybe he's
It
announcing
could be
himself.
him.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh man, the crowd would really hate it.
Yeah. So, all right, let's do this next segment.
Eli Drake. That is just a fact of life. Let me talk to you. It's me, it's Eli Drake, and you're listening to the Sports Guys talking wrestling. That is a fact of life. Yeah.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on podcast and YouTube this week. Stu Myrick, Justin the Smash Simmons. Did you see the former Eli Drake,
Yeah,
now L.A. Knight?
There you go. I was just about to ask you, who's this Eli Drake guy? I don't know who he is.
Well, since I have Eli Drake, I played Eli Drake. Remember, the L.A. Knight thing is new, but L.A. Knight, the man formerly known as Eli Drake, made his first official appearance in the Capitol Wrestling Center as a member of the NXT roster.
Can't say that I hate that. That's a really good addition for them.
I'm happy for him. I think he's going to do gangbusters. I've been a big fan of his, going all the way back to Impact Wrestling. He's just gold on the mic.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a redemption arc there because, I mean, he was in the WWE system and got let go, had this whole run as Eli Drake, and has done really well for himself. But this will give him, at this point in his career, that final opportunity to get in front of the WWE crowd. Obviously, the ones at NXT are going to be pretty familiar with his work, but but with his mic skills, I can really foresee him if he just once everybody sees how the crowd will respond to him, and then they let him talk. I can see him on the main roster somewhere in the middle.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Plus, L.A. Knight works out just like Eli Drake. So, hey.
Yeah, so
good on him.
That's what they thought about AJ Styles. They weren't sure how he was going to fit into their plans when he showed up, and he just did his thing, and they were forced to put him.
He was AJ Styles.
Yeah, so I feel that Eli Drake,
he worked.
Former Eli Drake, LA Knight can have the same.
I know.
Impact.
I'll still call him Eli, and
No
until I
pun
see him,
intended.
then I'll say LA. Bobby Lashley, the new WWE champion.
It was so funny because people were so pissed on social media because they're like, this is what I stayed up late for. Like the mid-range was like, is he going to win it? Is he not going to win it? I need to know now. And I was just all like, you have to let it simmer.
I'll be honest, I was not a fan of doing. Look, I know they wanted Miz as the sniveling heel, but that did go a little far. Having the tummy ache first hour, and then the count out, the on purpose count out second hour. And I'll be honest, I'm surprised because I did see the TV numbers. the audience did not drop off as much as I thought it would. So apparently a lot of them thought, okay, we are going to get a payoff.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody saw Miz lasting, past Fastlane,
No.
or maybe even Monday night.
Oh,
So
I was gonna
I'm glad it paid off. Lashley did it in dominating fashion, just like he should, and I couldn't be happier for Bobby. He's that's one of those in a weird, twisted way, a little bit like Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
Has been working at it for so long, and finally gets his moment. So good on Bobby. Now you got the Hurt Business dripping in gold.
Yeah, all of it.
with Bobby as WWE champion and Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander as the Raw Tag Team champions. So my next question is, does he keep the title at WrestleMania? Whether it's against Drew McIntyre or somebody else.
Brock Lesnar, yeah. That's what we all want to see.
I think
Lashley
a lot of people do.
versus Brock. Can we make that happen?
For once, I would like to see it as long as you have Lashley go over. Do not give the title to Brock.
I don't see that happening. I see Lashley getting beat the first time, and then maybe Lashley gets to beat him at SummerSlam, or Brock would drop it to what's it called? He'd drop it to McIntyre at SummerSlam, and then Lashley would come back and chase him for the title.
Don't even think about giving the title to Brock. That will kill Raw. Yeah.
He's
because you won't see it.
It's okay. We don't have to see it every
he won't
week.
And that will kill. The ratings will go down the tubes.
Nah.
I would strongly bet that. I could see Drew getting his moment in front of fans.
Yeah.
And then have Bobby beat him again, at SummerSlam or whatever. I could see that. I'll be interesting to see if they decide to pull the trigger on that. Because in my mind, they owe Drew that reaction for what he did with that title during this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
During this pandemic era. He deserves that. And it's no slight on Bobby. Bobby's a fantastic athlete. And I could see that becoming a really good rivalry. So we'll see. I don't know. All right, you heard me talk about it before the break. How many Randy Ortons does it take to fill a Raw? So we had heel Randy Orton doing his promo. All of a sudden, Alexa Bliss in her little pentagram, and then you see, I don't know, do you call him evil Randy Orton? But the heel Randy Orton's already evil, so is this more evil Randy Orton?
This is like Deep Viper Randy Orton. And to answer your question, it takes 2.5 Ortons.
I guess it does. And some black goo. If only for the sake of absurdity. That's about the only way I'm even slightly curious about this. Just to see how absurd this gets.
Yeah, but I'm okay with it. At least they're going through the storyline. They didn't just.
And that's what Simon and I were talking about earlier. About at least this is a storyline they have not. They've stuck to it.
Yeah.
As nutty and absurd and weird as it is, they haven't dropped it like they did GTV and the anonymous Raw GM and all that good stuff. So.
And again, it's professional wrestling, or in this case, sports entertainment. And there's
this is sports entertainment,
and there's room for everything on the card.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And I really think, Stu, we've been to a lot of professional wrestling matches, and the crowd that follows professional wrestling, I think, really just digs the characters, especially Alexa Bliss as this version of herself and the Fiend characters. So I totally understand why they stay with it.
I get that. I'm the one I'm not. And it's just, that's personal choice. But just like I said, just to see the absurd and shake my head, sure, why not? NXT. So you had Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, go to NXT. They faced Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. There were shenanigans involving the ref. Adam Pearce shows up, brings out one of the Raw refs, and so Baszler and Nia are still the Women's Tag Team Champions. Now, look, anybody that thought they were going to put the titles on Dakota and Raquel, you're out of your mind.
I was going to say that's a little.
I would have loved to see it.
Yeah, that's.
But they're not. It wasn't going to happen.
That was a little too forward thinking.
Yeah. So then, the GM William Regal says he's going to make a quote major announcement next week on NXT.
Will it involve a Hall of Fame worthy talent?
Maybe he's the Hall of Fame worthy talent.
It's a him. Damn.
Now, there is speculation that NXT will come up with their own women's tag team titles.
Do they have enough women? And I say that, and excuse me, fans, let me preface this. I don't get to watch every single show, so I don't know.
They've got as many as Raw and SmackDown.
Okay.
I'll give it that. I'm not sure that's the best idea, though.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, do they have like the name caliber or stars? I mean, I know they got Tony Storm.
Right.
I know they got people like that, but is that enough to build the whole division around?
To make a tag team title.
Division? Yeah. Because
I
I mean,
get
obviously, single wrestling there. I mean, they're set.
Now there is rumor innuendo, and let's see. I'm trying to think how it was first broken by, I want to say, Matt Men Podcast, confirmed by Dave Meltzer, that NXT is moving to Tuesday nights, starting in April, probably after WrestleMania. Now, before anybody thinks AEW won the battle and shoot them off or whatever, no, it wasn't AEW that got them to move. It was actually the NHL.
Yeah.
So basically, let me draw this out. So NBC Sports Network, which of course is under the NBC Universal umbrella, just like the USA Network. NBC Sports Network is shutting down. Right now, they are the ones that carry the National Hockey League. And Wednesday night is their big night for hockey.
It's Wednesday night hockey in Canada.
And yeah, in Canada, well, that's TSN.
Yeah, but I mean, there is going to be games on.
Right,
Wednesdays.
but NBC Sports Network has their own
Yeah.
Wednesday night hockey. It's kind of like Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
So, with NBC Sports Network shutting down, they're having to move those different sports properties to their other networks.
Mm-hmm.
And the talk is they are going to move NHL to the USA Network.
Which I think fits.
Which is fine. The problem, of course, is NXT right now is on Wednesday nights on USA. Now, as much as we love NXT and as much as wrestling fans love NXT, the NHL makes a whole lot more money for NBC Universal than NXT.
Yeah, I would assume.
So the NHL wins out here. NXT moves to Tuesday night. They will get the night pretty much unopposed. Now, yes, we know Impact Wrestling is on Tuesday nights on Access TV and Twitch.
And we have to see how NWA.
We'll talk about that here in a bit. But in retrospect, it's pretty much doesn't have a strong competitor, and I say that with all due respect to Impact Wrestling.
Yeah,
there's not an AEW level competitor that airs on Tuesday nights on cable. So
yeah, it's not like they moved Raw from USA on their main night in the middle of the Monday Night Wars here.
Right.
This was just like due to the fact that both of them are running on the same night. And there's so many contracts, and there's a dissolvement of a whole network that was carrying those games.
Right.
Changes were going to be made. In the end, let's admit, the winner here is the professional wrestling fan.
Yes.
Because now you get to see both shows unopposed,
exactly.
and both shows have been really good.
You're right. Remember, AEW was originally supposed to be on Tuesday nights. When they signed on with TNT, TNT has the NBA package.
That's
they
Tuesday
have
night.
Their games are on Tuesday night. That's why they got pushed to Wednesday night. So
See, the big
So
four
there's
sports kind of went out again. Huh?
that's right. So anyway, so maybe that might be the major announcement. We'll see. We'll see. And also next week, Finn Balor defending the NXT Championship against none other than the man that used to run the Undisputed Era, but he's destroyed it. None other than Adam Cole. Now, I don't think Adam Cole's winning the title.
Maybe not, but I want to see this match.
I want to, yeah,
I want to see them go.
The match. I'm definitely interested in the match. Finn Balor had a great match with Roderick Strong.
Yeah,
this past Wednesday night, which
you
kind of figure they're going to. They're both really strong.
Yeah,
wrestlers, no pun intended.
But I mean, like Finn Balor, since he's been back at NXT, has been killing it. He's been so good.
I'll be interested to see what happens with the Undisputed Era guys. Kyle O'Reilly come back. Bobby Fish, who apparently has been out with an injury. I want to see what happens when he comes back. It could be interesting. So, or maybe Adam Cole decides maybe this is time to go to Raw or SmackDown.
They've been saying that for a while.
They have.
You figure this is going to be the time. Does he get a WrestleMania appearance? To make his big.
Or is he one of the post WrestleMania moves?
No, that's true.
So, SmackDown. Besides the Roman Reigns stuff, which
it's been good,
but it's been kind of the same every week.
That's fine. That's what people like. They like similar things, slightly changed. They like consistency.
But it's okay, sure. I don't see that, but okay. I want give me a little variety with it, Don't give me just Roman has a match and Jay interferes every time.
But this is what happens when you have the title on every week. Being defended. He's
not defending it every week. That's the thing.
But that's just it. I'm one of these believers like, oh, hey, the guy doesn't always have to be on the show every week.
Yeah, but Brock wasn't on every month. He was on every 3 months.
I'm okay with that because it is your champion.
You're okay with that. I'm not.
And
I think that's horrible.
The worst thing that happened when wrestling went episodic and national was the fact that you can't ever get an opportunity to organically miss some of these people and let them try new things. So I'm okay if a champion.
I'm sorry, and I get that. My case is you don't have to have him wrestle every week, and in fact, you shouldn't have the champion wrestle every week. You should make that kind of a special thing.
Yeah, exactly. It should mean something.
But at least have him show up on the show.
I feel that tape vignettes are just as good. And sometimes
they wouldn't even do that.
Yeah, but people understand it with Brock because he has that aura. He has that video game final boss feel to him.
And maybe he does. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's lazy. I think it does your championship no good.
Nah.
Because it disappears. And you almost forget about it. You forget who's the champion. At least I did.
I was going to say,
but thinking I'm older, so one thing I was interested in, Apollo Crews, the heel turn and embracing his Nigerian heritage. And he used to do that on the Indies.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing a little bit of return in that.
Well, I was going to say smiling babyface was only going to last for so long.
Yeah.
And this is what everybody's been waiting for, is to see some personality, for them to actually give him a character, regardless if it's based off of his heritage, but that they give him something to work with besides hey, I'm Apollo Crews, I'm going to smile a lot, and I'm going to do a bunch of cool moves, but you'll never hear me do anything else.
And that's true. And they did make him really boring as a face. I'll be interested to see how this plays out, especially, I guess, his first rivalry is going to be with Big E. for the Intercontinental title.
That's a good rivalry, though, to start
It
with.
is.
It should
No,
be
it
fun.
is. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. So
The big thing about WWE, I understand that people don't necessarily like most of the predicaments that they put some of their superstars in, but it's kind of like a teasing older brother. It's like, oh, if they're picking on you, that means that at least that you're getting their attention. That's more than what they can say for Bo Dallas. No disrespect to Bo Dallas,
and
but it's
apparently
true.
he's still under contract.
Exactly, but I mean, he hasn't been on TV in forever.
That's again, they'll go through all these ropes to make a storyline so complicated. Bo Dallas, it's easy. He's Bray Wyatt's brother.
Unless that's something that's coming from him where he's like, I really don't want to do that.
Now, if that's the case, then okay, that
But
makes sense.
you wouldn't
but
think he
then
would have
again,
that type of pool yet, would you?
I don't know, or maybe
Vince-
it's because of his dad.
Because Vince has never liked I know you're talking about a different aspect, but because it would eventually turn into brother versus brother, I would say, and he doesn't like brother versus brother matches. Like when Owen went against Brett at WrestleMania 10, he wasn't excited about that. He's like, why would brothers fight each other? They're brothers.
Yeah.
And he had a brother.
That's why he
in real
never
life.
booked Cody and Dustin.
Yeah. He doesn't like brothers fighting each other. So I don't see. I
didn't like it with Jeff and Matt. I didn't like it with Owen and Brett. So
Yeah.
I get that.
He's one of those guys that just really strongly believes in that.
Well, but see, that's the thing. He always believes that there's got to be an end, and the end always has to be with one of them turning on the other.
Yeah.
The end doesn't necessarily have to be that.
No, but I mean,
You see it with the Iconics. They didn't turn on each other. They just broke them up.
Well, it was the same thing with like the New Day. You told me. I mean,
Same thing.
I mean, a lot of people weren't happy
Both
with
of
the
which
breakup.
they never should have broke them up in the first
See,
place.
but I was going to say, wouldn't you have preferred this as opposed to them, Big E turning on them? Because that would have been the only other thing.
No, I wouldn't want to see either.
Yeah, I understand
them
that.
together.
But you only get two choices here. And they're going to break up. So which one do you want to see? You want them to dissolve amicably?
But why do you have to break them up?
Because it's Big E's time.
You didn't break them up with Kofi.
Kofi wasn't going to be slotted to have an extended singles run. They weren't going to build
He had a pretty good run.
He had a decent run, but they weren't going to give him the ball to make a whole new brand just around Kofi. But they see Big E. He has the age. He has the charisma. He has the look. They see a lot of dollar signs in his eyes.
I suppose. I just don't think they should have. But that's just me. We're going to take a quick time. When we come back, we'll let you know what's happening in independent wrestling this weekend, and we're going to cover a little New Japan Pro Wrestling because they've been making some news. We'll talk about it next on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and it all makes sense. Personally, I just didn't want to see it. Like you did, you never wanted to see the Rock and Roll Express breakup. You didn't want to see the Road Warriors break up. You know, there's certain things that just they feel right. I will go to my grave saying they broke up the Iconics way too soon.
Oh, I don't think
there was a lot of juice left with that one.
I don't think you're the only one that thinks that way.
That was a dumb move. So
I guess
it's proven by the fact neither one of them have done anything since.
That's what I was going to say. It was the sad part is that neither one of them has done anything really noteworthy. I'm surprised they haven't let, which is the one that's more popular,
Peyton?
Yeah, like why they haven't let her. No, Billie Kay.
You think Billie Kay is more popular,
or is it Peyton? Which is the one with the dark hair?
Well, now they both have dark hair. But Billie Kay has darker hair.
Yeah. Well,
she's on SmackDown. Peyton Royce is on Raw. Peyton Royce is the one that was teaming with Lacey Evans. Which, again, you break up a tag team and then put one of the girls with another girl to make another tag team. Makes no sense. No sense whatsoever.
No chemistry whatsoever. It's definitely Billie Kay. Billie Kay is definitely the funnier of the two.
I guess so. And Peyton Royce was. I think they saw more in Peyton Royce.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't think. And that may be, but I don't think either one of them. I think they're good. They're much better together. So, but hey, what do we know? All right. Last segment.
They built this bigger than ever, stronger than ever, forever. Rocky.
What's up, everybody? This is Rocky Asuka Romero, and you are listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Yo, and Rocky, we about to make a punky 3K, transform and optimist so proper like bigger than.
Back on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, Stu Myrick, Justin Smash Simmons. I love that song.
It's a good song.
He is so good. And Rocky, you know, I'm a huge fan of Rocky, and I think Rocky's fantastic. Only had a couple of shows I could find this weekend in independent wrestling, but we'll tell you about them. You know, at least get a few folks out. We got to start in Sherman with Texoma Pro Wrestling. Apparently, they're running twice a month now. They are running Shenanigans this Friday at the Sherman Elks Lodge. Bell time 8 p.m. J.D. Griffey, Craig Kisselman, Nick Collins among those scheduled to be there. That's Texoma Pro Wrestling this Friday night in Sherman. And then SOAR Championship Wrestling presents Enter the Diamond Queen Saturday at the Dallas Elks Lodge, number 71 there in Dallas. Bell time 7:30 p.m. Dante Smiley, Savion, Ty Wilson among those scheduled to be here. That's SOAR Championship Wrestling this Saturday in Big D. And that's a look at independent wrestling around the area. They're going to adhere to all the COVID protocols, so make sure you're wearing a mask. But go support some independent wrestling. By the way, I saw something. Texoma, if you are a wrestler, Texoma has announced in April they're hosting a seminar with none other than the Good Brothers.
Oh, that's cool. Real
Gallows
cool.
and Anderson, the current Impact Tag Team Champions. And I think Scott D'Amore's coming with.
Nice. I mean, that'd be a lot of world experience between the three.
Not to mention that usually means they'll be on the show that night.
Mm-hmm.
So I may have to make my way to Sherman. Maybe I can finally get a live interview with Sex Ferguson. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Let me ask you, how surprised were you that Jon Moxley retained the U.S. Championship?
You know, in hindsight, not as surprised as you think I would be, because they're really trying to build their U.S. awareness, and it's better to keep it on a wrestler that wrestles in the United States.
I see that. I see that side. I was surprised, if only because it for the same reason I don't think Moxley would win the title on Sunday, is that he's going to take time off soon so that he can be there for the birth of he and Renee Paquette's first child. So he's going to take off some time. I don't know how long that is. So I would think they want, you know, like you said, because they want to keep that visible. Jon Moxley, Kenta had a fantastic match. In the end, Jon Moxley hits the Death Rider, as they call it in New Japan, gets the 1-2-3. Jon Moxley is still your IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion. So we'll see.
Well, that, and because they are, I'm just making sure, do you have this written down? Yeah, you were going to talk about it eventually, but the merger of the top two titles kind of gives it more reason for them to keep it with Mox.
Yeah, for if you have not heard. So overnight, New Japan Pro Wrestling had their 49th anniversary show. The main event was Kota Ibushi, the IWGP Heavyweight Intercontinental Champion, defending against El Desperado, who I think is now the Junior Heavyweight Champion.
I believe so.
Plus one half of the Junior Heavyweight Tag Champs.
Good performer.
So you had 2 belts versus 2 belts. In the end, Kota Ibushi gets the win. He retains. And now those 2 titles will be consolidated, will be unified to become the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. The chairman of New Japan announced this a couple days ago. I think it first came out in Tokyo Sports, and then they confirmed it. There will be a new belt made.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. The old belt's pretty good, so we'll see.
The old belt is pretty good, and just for sake of a little historical perspective, and I got this from our friends at Fightful Wrestling. So the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, instituted in 1987. The first champion was, of course, Antonio Inoki. There have been 73 heavyweight champions in history. Hiroshi Tanahashi has the most reigns with 8. Kazuchika Okada, unsurprisingly, has the most title defenses with 30 and is the longest reigning champion, a combined 1,790 days over his 5 title reigns.
And I'm wondering.
I mean, that's getting. I mean, it's not. Well, I guess that's getting kind of close to Bruno territory there.
Pretty close. I mean, that's a long time. People forget he was the best wrestler in the world.
Oh, he was
for so long. And I mean,
he's still one of the best.
Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't have to be featured all the time. But I mean, if they want to give him another storyline to where he is like the top guy, I mean, it's totally believable.
The Intercontinental title introduced in 2011. Who was the first champion?
MVP.
Our friend, the man that I got to shoot the worst rap album cover with him in the Dirty Blondes. But yes, MVP was the first IWGP Intercontinental champion. There have been 27 Intercontinental champions in history. Tetsuya Naito has had the most reigns with 6. Shinsuke Nakamura has the most title defenses, 17, and most combined days, 901 days as Intercontinental champion.
Yeah, and I really don't think about him as the Intercontinental champion, but the IWGP champion.
Yes, he is also a former heavyweight champion. So those two lineages will be merged together. We'll see what happens going forward with the belt. This was what Kota Ibushi wanted when they started the plan, when they were making the build up to Wrestle Kingdom. He mentioned he wanted to win both titles and unify them. He's getting his wish, and so we'll see what happens coming up or in the months to come with the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. We mentioned the NWA. First of all, another rest in peace we found out last week, Joseph Hudson, who most everybody knew as Josephus, and also as the Question Mark.
Karate.
The master of Mongrovian Karate passed away. It was an undisclosed illness. Apparently it was pretty sudden.
Yeah, but young too, man.
And young, yes. I never saw how old he was, but
he's like 40.
Yeah, I think he's still, so a lot of love out to his family. You saw
kids.
You saw all the tributes from Nick Aldis and everybody that has worked in the NWA. Thunder Rosa had some great pictures of her and Question Mark together. So thoughts and prayers to his family and friends, the kids and everything. We mentioned the NWA. They're back.
Mm-hmm.
They first of all, they have announced a pay-per-view called Back for the Attack, March 21st. So this is
2
March
weeks.
5th. So a little over 2 weeks. He'll be on Fight TV. Then they're going to hold TV tapings. Power is back. And as you mentioned, they're bringing back Into the Fire by Dokken.
It's only right.
Absolutely. I did see that the first episode of Power coming back will be Tuesday, March 23rd at 6:05 p.m. Eastern on Fight TV.
Okay, so that's going to be their new home?
Interesting that they're moving to Fight.
Because they removed all their previous YouTube.
Yes, the YouTube channel is empty right
now.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how well they're going to do with having people having to buy the show on Fight. I don't think it's going to be much, and I can pull up my Fight app and see if it's even on there now. But even if it's like $9-10, I wonder how much that would be for. No, they're just talking about the old episodes. So, I can tell you in the pay-per-view, NWA Back for the Attack, it's $19.99 on Fight. I bet you we might have a code or two to give away coming up. But
it's a good possibility,
so tune in. Make sure you tune in. But I'll be interested to see how many people watch it on Fight if they have to pay for it. Now, I do know, like Ring of Honor, you can watch Ring of Honor TV on Fight for free.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That seems
It could be asking a lot for fans that have already invested money into other promotions and stuff, where they have a monthly subscription somewhere else, or they have multiple monthly subscriptions. So you might be asking a little bit for them to throw down that much for one event. But at the same token, there's some really hardcore wrestling fans, and there was a lot of people who really like the NWA. And
I agree.
And if they want to really seriously consider trying to find a TV deal, then they're going to have to prove that they can draw, right?
Plus, they've been gone for a year.
Yeah,
they've done nothing, and for good reason.
Yeah,
obviously.
for good reason. I mean,
and we've seen those wrestlers in Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb, or in the with AEW. We've seen a couple of them show up in Ring of Honor, other places. So, but for the most part, the NWA has been asleep since last February. So now you're asking folks right off the bat to pay for a weekly series. I don't know. That seems a little ambitious.
Yeah, I mean, but TNA started that way.
Yeah, they did.
Less competition at the time, but they did.
It was less competition. It was right after WWE bought WCW, so they were kind of the first out of the gate as an alternative to WWE or WWF at the time.
They're making you pay for weekly pay-per-view.
They were. But at that time, it was, like you said, it was the only thing that wasn't WWE. There was nothing else. There was no Ring of Honor. There was no AEW. There was no Major League Wrestling. None of that. So we'll see what happens. I hope they succeed. I don't know what's going to happen. But hey, all the best to Billy Corgan and in all of them. Hope we see Tim Storm get a little more shine. I know he's been talking. He's trying to wind down his in-ring career. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, people like Tim and just
plus Tim's involved, heavily involved with SW Fury, so he's helping James Beard with that, and as well as Adam Asher. So
I was just gonna say the guys that were in the later portions of their career, that's what the pandemic really hurt, was like that chance to finish up strongly. They had storylines in the works, and it's just like losing a year of your prime. It's like you just don't get it back. I
mean, outside of Nick Aldis, who's still the world heavyweight champion, I know Trevor Murdoch is the national heavyweight champion because he defended his title on SW Fury not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only two champions I know. Well, and Serena Deeb is the NWA Women's World Champion, but she's been on Dynamite. So
yeah,
and that's going to be the other thing, because unless I'm mistaken, Serena Deeb, I say I think she's actually contracted to AEW. Now, it could be a talent, it could be a talent share thing, and I know AEW's happy to do that. So we'll see. But yeah, at least the NWA is coming back. That'll do it for this week's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. You can follow Justin Smash Simmons on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at The Smash Simmons. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Stu Myrick. That's STEWMYRICK. You can follow the show on Twitter at SGTWATX. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. You can find us on YouTube Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central. You can catch us Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Central on the flagship station for the Texas Longhorns, The Horn, 104.9, 101.9 FM, AM 1260. Or you can hear us anytime you want by going to hornfm.com and click on the On-Air tab, or by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you rate us and review us there, if you would, please. Big thanks to Simon Miller from What Culture for joining me earlier, and our thanks to you for giving us a little bit of your time tonight. For Justin, I'm Stu. We will see you at the matches.
Goodbye and good night. Bang!
And there we go. A full show.
Yeah.
But we covered a lot. I got to be honest. I like Thursdays because we get to talk all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard to do it on Tuesday nights, especially with Dynamite happening the following night and everything. But look, it's a scheduling thing. It's a scheduling thing. Station's got a lot of stuff going, so
I was like, what do they have on Thursdays normally?
Well, now they got Flex.
Okay.
They got Flex with Snoop Daniel doing everything high school sports. They usually have Longhorn Weekly with, I guess right now it'd be Shaka Smart, but in the fall it'll be with Steve Sarkeesian.
Mm-hmm.
So that usually airs on Thursday nights.
Gotcha.
So, summer we usually, it's pretty consistent because there's nothing going on.
I was going to say there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, but a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff. I'm really excited about. I'm excited about Revolution. I think that's going to be a hell of a show. By the way, you got Fastlane coming up. What, in 2 weeks? I think.
Just about.
So,
but nobody cares. So it's okay.
Yeah, because it gets in the way of WrestleMania.
But it's okay. We have any plans for WrestleMania this year? Anything?
Watch it here.
I mean,
I'm not going to Tampa. No.
I was like, any way to bet more money?
There'll be. I mean, I'm sure we will hear from our friends at Bet Online AG to as far as betting odds. I get those all the time. My good friend Jim Shapiro, who I've worked with at Super Bowls and stuff. Apparently he gets me the current betting lines for different pay-per-views. In fact, I'm surprised I haven't seen one for. Well, let me see. Let's check the email. No, haven't seen any. Nope, don't have any odds, I don't think. I'm just going to, let me scroll through real quick, because I did see something from him, but that may have been for, what was, the WWE pay-per-view we just had, whatever that was, I forget what it is. And again, there you go, proof positive. They just get in the way between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. But you got to have that content. I'll be interested to see. I'm still waiting to hear what will happen. Here it is. Okay, yeah, and it was sent last week. I did put these on Twitter, so if you go to our Twitter page at SGTWATX. Revolution, right now, Kenny Omega is 1-5 bet. John Moxley 3-1. Bucks are favored to win at 2-5. Chris Jericho MJF gets you 17-10. Hangman Adam Page favored to win that match 1-3. Matt Hardy 2-1. Darby Allin and Sting favored to win their match 1-4.
I don't see that happening.
Cage and Starks 5-2. And then Best Friends are favored at 5-8. That one I don't see. I think Miro and Kip Sabian win, but that would be a 6-5 bet.
Well, they must have some inside information that we don't.
And I can tell you right now, for WrestleMania, Roman Reigns, Edge, pick them.
For real?
Yep.
Nice.
You have to pick them. So we'll see. We shall see. All right, that'll do it for us on YouTube tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. We should be back on Tuesday nights. We should be back on Tuesday night next week because we're back on the air next week. But for now, for Justin, I'm Stu. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you later.